Hello everyone, welcome to the whatever amount of dev stream we have done, +1. Joining me today is Arthur.
Hello, hello.
And we'll be looking at the latest update and doing some fireside chat.
Yeah, just kind of same as always. And taking questions and really whatever we, like you said, it's a fireside chat. We pretty much just go with the flow. If you have questions, ideas, we're here to take them, field them. We'll tell you the truth. We can talk politics or we can talk whatever, really.
Just ask, go ahead, and we'll talk about it.
So we're live on YouTube, Twitch, and on the Steam channel. I think typically YouTube and Twitch are probably the best playback, but we'll be keeping an eye on all of them. And we try to read back the questions as we see them. Sometimes we get a little out of order, or we, especially me, tend to ramble on. But we'll do our best to keep you guys entertained. So tell us a little bit about this update.
I'm actually gonna really quickly open the patch notes on my laptop. And then we can take a look through the list of changes.
And the big one I already see somebody saying start a fire, please.
Yeah, I'll check out the list and we can definitely start a fire then.
I played with it quite a bit, and there are a few things that I do think probably should be tweaked, but it is pretty cool. It's a little refreshing to see.
If it's anything about spreading or whatever all the constants would be, I actually opened those up. So I've seen, I think, Carl already made a mod that is where fire spreads way faster. So all the fire configuration stuff is open to modding.
My main thing was more on the lines of it needs to be harder to combat, probably. Not even fire spread so much as I think that the fire trucks get called too early. I think you should have to call them, and it should maybe only check automatically for you like once every, I don't know, 6 hours or something. Yeah, like something along those lines.
So
potentially even like
up.
Yeah, go for it. I'll talk more about fire though.
To be fair, fire is the first one. So in this update we've got a couple of big points. Let's just go through them. A bit more structured this stream than usual. What do we have? We added fire. It's the first type of random event. You can enable them, random events in general, in your gameplay section. Random events. We possibly hope to do more of those stuff, so more random events, but for the moment we just added fire because that's the fanciest thing you can have, and you actually have something visual to play with.
It requires all this stuff to work for like everybody to react, and so it's also like one of the more all-encompassing ones. Is another great reason that we tackled it, just to add on.
So I can start a fire in the background in a minute, but just to sum up what fire is, it's something burning. That's it. So in the game, what fire is, it pretty much is as you expect. Specific reasons can start a fire, something like a kitchen burning, or if your passengers are really frustrated, they can throw flammable stuff into a trash can, and sometimes trash can go into fire too. No outside fires at this point, so planes will not burn. I've seen a couple of people suggest that,
I like it.
For the moment, there's no outside fire. Fire, like I said, may start randomly, and if it's big enough, the fire department is automatically called. You can also start your own fire if you want, with either Control 4 or F4. I'll actually just do that. Just place some fire anywhere. And you'll see what's going to happen. So when placing a fire, it's just gonna, or when a fire is placed by the game with random event, the fire is just starting to smoke, and at some point it's starting to burn. And as soon as it burns, the whole sector is gonna be evacuated, and people have to exit the airport. It won't evacuate the whole airport, so only part of your airport may have to evacuate. In this case, pretty much the whole ground floor on this terminal side. And passengers and agents try to flee from the fire, somewhere outside or somewhere else. They try to avoid going into the fire, but if the only path to the outside is going near fire, they will still do so. Fiverr 11 Gaming asked if this game has a couple of mods in it. Yes, actually, we've got stuff like the Japanese tree.
Yeah, it's hard to miss that tree. That tree is bright red against an otherwise kind of neutral backdrop. You've got a couple other mods in this save too, I think.
Yeah. Let me see. What do we have? A bunch of stuff actually. So the modded trees by Thunder, a couple of airline signs, the how do you name it? The rental car stuff by Mod Air. Infodesk I think is by Mod Air too.
I was never on your channel over on YouTube says no working sprinkling system. Are you playing Berlin airport mode? Hey, you know, I think he's got some construction defects going on over there.
So by the way, the fire truck just came in, and they really quickly extinguished the fire. Since this one was really easy to reach from the street, just in front of the terminal, they just put it out real quick.
And that's my biggest complaint is it's almost difficult right now to burn it down.
Putting a fire into a faraway terminal is going to be more interesting.
Yeah.
But having a road system on the apron side is actually going to help you. So if you have a road system connected to the main road, like in this save I've got, the fire trucks are actually going onto that road system and will park on the closest road to the fire.
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet touch too. I really like that.
So like if there would be a fire breaking out somewhere close to this part of the airport, they may stop at the road here, and same if one of the gate agent desks on the remote bus pickups starts burning, the fire department will actually stop just in front of it and put it out. So if you have really far out terminals, that is pretty much the best way to get it.
And so that's one thing that I would love to see on this is I'd like to see there'd be a manual call button for fire, and otherwise it'd be pretty darn delayed.
I've actually someone suggested not to do it that way, and I initially implemented it that way, but we can change it at any point. Point is, if you have it completely manually, it's going to be...
Yeah, completely manually I don't like, but what I do... So what I think it should be is maybe like every 12 hours, the trucks... Or like basically the trucks are on a big delay, or you could hit the call button anytime, and then basically some kind of upgrade, some kind of fire alarm system that you can install that probably similar to like the PA mechanic, even where it requires build out that would automatically call them sooner, and probably have an ongoing cost to that.
Also, maybe a notification system. We currently have none. Like we actually have no notification system for any of the game mechanics.
Yeah.
But like for a delayed plane, it would be really smart to have one, and for the fires breaking out, it may be beneficial too. So we may look at that too.
When the game first released, we actually did have a notification system, and we didn't show it. But the reason we originally showed it before we released, the reason we didn't was because it ends up you get a lot of the signal to noise ratio isn't very good. It's a challenging problem to solve. I mean, we didn't have it implemented real well when we were messing with it, but even then it quickly adds up, where especially in an airport where everything is based on cascading failure, you end up with either no notifications or 200 of them. Not to say we shouldn't do it or couldn't do it better. We didn't do a great job back then, and again, that was before we released, so we never even got feedback on it. But it's a fairly challenging problem to solve.
So by the way, fire has been long put out, but looking at the security over time, it took some time, but now it's actually flowing pretty well again. But you could see all the backup, since the security personnel had to run out too, and until the security was working again, it took some time, and there was a pretty good backup of people having to get into the terminal. And flights may leave not on time anymore, or not completely full, but in this case I think I've got enough security to actually handle the fire and get people back into the airport.
You tend to know what you're doing when you build these airports out.
Well, it seems like I'm better than the Berlin-Brandenburg airport.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty low bar to set. But
to be fair, they say they will open this October, so I don't believe it. But let's see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, are they really? I didn't know that. That's unlikely. Every time they give a date, multiply it by 200, and then that's how far away it'll be. Orange 9098 said on YouTube, "Hello, I wonder how the Mac SimAirport is doing. It's been a while since I saw an update there. I can't post on the Steam forum, so I have to talk it here." So we submitted the build, and our first build we sent over, we had an issue, and it got basically rejected. It was a bug. It didn't load. We sent an updated version. They confirmed receipt, and we're waiting. I'm actually a little surprised. I kind of figured it would have been up there yesterday, but it will be up there. I cannot imagine it won't be up on the Mac App Store by Wednesday at the latest, probably sooner than that. And Orange, if you're really itching, shoot an email over, support@simairport.com. We could probably help you out and get you set up. I know you're almost always on the dev streams with us, and I've seen you ask in the comments about it, and I feel bad. Shoot us an email and we'll get you set up with a way to get the latest update right away.
Also, just to say, if you have a Steam account, you may actually be able to write in the Steam discussions without owning the game. You may just not be able to write in all of them. And as Mod has said, you can definitely come and join the Discord and at least ping me pretty much all day. If I'm online, I will usually respond to the questions on there.
Elias I probably butchered that, sorry, on YouTube said, "Even though I already own the game, just curious what are your thoughts about Xbox Game Pass are?" And as the amateur I am, I go and I Google Xbox Game Pass.
I can tell you if you just ask.
It's a subscription. It's like a Netflix type.
Well, yeah, mostly. You get
Yeah.
you get a bunch of more stuff. So you also get Xbox Live, so you can play your games online with the Xbox. But the Game Pass is pretty much the ultimate version of that, where you can play 100-ish games for free while you're subscribed. And
they have it for PC too.
yes, that's the best part of it. If you own it, you can play the games on the Xbox, but many games work cross-platform, so you can also play them on the PC.
Gotcha. Interesting.
I've actually got it since there was a really lovely deal to get it for like $80 for 3 years, which is a killer. That's a perfect deal for me.
Yeah, 36 month, $2, $2 a month. As a player, as a game player, it's kind of cool. As a developer, I don't know. I'm not sure. Really, the question to me, and I probably wouldn't be allowed to talk about it if I knew the answer. Luckily, I don't know the answer, but the question to me is how do they handle money? Because much I'd love to just give games away for free, got to feed ourselves and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. Conceptually, I love the idea. My first question when I saw it is, does it contain the latest version of Madden? Which is like a stupid thing to worry or care about, but that's
No,
the
it doesn't,
truth.
by the way.
It doesn't.
No, I actually got Madden 19, but I got it for like $15.
19 though,
Yeah,
not
19, not the newest. Just because it wasn't in Game Pass.
Yeah, I haven't played a Madden now in 2 years. I bought it every year running for 20 since 1993, I think 94, and I stopped buying it the year we released SimAirport, which is just almost 3 years ago. We're about 2 weeks away from it being 3 years ago.
Yeah, this March, right?
Yeah.
So to sum up on the, by the way, I'll just give an extra point on the Game Pass stuff. I've looked through the list of games they have on the Game Pass currently, and what you find is that a lot of AAA games are there. So stuff like Metro Exodus.
Yeah.
That's about it. I don't really know that much of AAA games, but Outer Worlds is one example.
GTA.
But only few like open source stuff. Not open source. A few no open source games at all. I've never seen one. Only few indie titles or like smaller games. And I think the Game Pass stuff is really made for these big AAA games.
They've got Subnautica. They've got. So if you click on ID at Xbox, you can see some of the more indie-ish games. They've got The Hunter, Call of the Wild. I think it's a hunting game. I've seen it on Steam though. They have a few. It's actually quite a large library, but yeah, probably even Surviving Mars. That's fairly new too.
By the way, Fiverr11 asked if this airport is on the workshop. This version not, but I can upload it after the stream.
Did you upload it last?
I may have not.
Man, I think we've been saying this for like 6 months running.
Yeah, I know someone asked to get the save, and I sent it directly, but I don't know if I've uploaded this one exactly to the workshop. But I can do it after the stream.
What's the save called?
This one is Stream Airport 2019-11-27.
2019 7 No.
11-27.
Okay. I have an older version of it from July.
That might be a different airport, which may
Oh.
actually be on the workshop. But
Oh.
I'm not sure either.
Okay. I was trying to make sure we don't forget. I was gonna just upload it to a shared folder and link you guys. But yeah, but it probably is. Yeah, it is crazy. I was never on your channel. He says 3 years. Crazy. It is. It's crazy. 3 years. And we've been working on the game even longer than that, since we obviously had to make it before we released it. Yeah, it's been. It is. It's incredible to think it's 3 years.
It's
So
also
we will get.
about 1 year for me, by the way.
Yeah, you're coming up on 1 year. It feels like, honestly, though, it feels like, and we were saying this last stream that you've been working on it for years, and I don't know if it's just so damn talented, or I guess a lot of it probably is that you came from playing the game first before starting to work on it, so you understood kind of even just understanding the terminology and like what to search for in the code. I think probably really helpful.
Yeah, might have been.
Yeah, I was never on a channel. I remember playing the old versions, one floor, no large gates. Yeah, 45 tile long runways. That was the default. I think the default map was like, or not the default, the only map size you could have when we released. I think it was like 60 by 60 or something. Yeah, it's come quite a ways. There's always going to be stuff too I want changed, but on the whole, I'm pretty happy with it, especially considering we had never built a game and we learned a lot of this stuff. Basically, everything that we know about making games, we learned while we were doing it. It bugs me too. Sometimes I feel like kind of selling ourselves and you guys short a little bit in that way, but you know that's how anybody learns anything. Yeah, overall, I really couldn't be happier. I almost am surprised sometimes when I watch people play the game or watch videos of it. That like, I mean, I still have nightmares about the day or two after release when we initially released. Never forget guy playing the game with 2,000 people watching and it just being so damn buggy, and there's nothing I could do. Yeah, it is. I'm proud of where it's at. It's not perfect. I think it's a really solid overall experience, and for people that like this genre, I think it's hundreds of hours of gameplay. For more casual players, it maybe is only 40 hours ish. But yeah, generally, I'm pretty happy with where it is. The graphics are probably the one thing that I'll never live down. But yeah,
I still like the graphics style, and there's people who like it definitely.
yeah, it's not even the style I like. The thing that bugs me the most, I think, is it's like the technical side of it. I think that we really didn't understand how rendering works very well, and yeah, we could have. The art, I think, is very good. I think the implementation of the art is mediocre. But yeah, I mean, that's what learning is. You get better at it.
So just to get an idea for everyone. When I started, and I guess it was pretty similar for you too. When I started working on SimAirport about a year ago now, I didn't know anything about game dev, and I didn't know my extent of graphics knowledge was that there's a graphic, then there's magic, and then there's the GPU drawing it somehow onto the screen. I knew some vertices stuff, so how to create a cube or stuff like that in 3D space, but that's about it. So like how a graphics card works and how it renders stuff, how to tell it to render stuff, no idea.
Yeah, we were at the same spot. I had no idea what the hell a mesh was when we first started. Vertices, I thought those were just in a graph. Yeah, a lot of stuff like that. I mean, even just realizing and we realized this fairly early on, like 6 months after release, but that physics is not necessary and that really game objects aren't necessary and we can just render the stuff. Yeah, just a lot of lessons learned. There's also, is there a door there underneath that trash can or no?
Underneath the trash bag, yeah.
Okay.
It's not completely. I think it didn't decide yet what on which it wants to place, further above. And I'm interested in why the janitor was so lazy to put it there.
Yeah, what the heck? Well, it's
instead of into the zone literally next to it, but it got close. It's gonna probably gonna be picked up once it's
a couple hours. It is unusual.
Well, you don't really often build a garbage zone with a door directly into the terminal.
Yeah, but why didn't he drop it in the why didn't they put it in the dumpster? They prioritize dumpsters.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes they don't. But
the real question is whether the garbage trucks can't pick it up or
not. They should.
Damn well ought to. Anyway, Iceman on YouTube 2056 says, "Can you put water lines, electric lines in as part of SimAirport build?" The thought has occurred to us for sure. I don't know. It's a little too tedious and micro managing for the game. Originally, that was the plan. And as the game grew and the passenger counts went up, some of the things that I thought would make sense for the game became much too micro for what the game is. I mean, I think I've talked about this on stream before, but in some ways, in retrospect, I feel like airports aren't the best setting for tycoon game like this because time is so the life cycle of a passenger is pretty short and they don't have a whole lot of leeway between getting dropped off and getting to their aircraft. And it kind of means that you're a little bit limited as game developers, we're a little limited in what kind of interesting behaviors we can make them do. This has been something that's always bugged me. People have always complained that the passengers do dumb stuff and don't. And part of that's always been kind of intentional, is the AI is very localized and always optimizes for its best, whatever it can get done the soonest, nearest, quickest, and most satisfyingly. And that's always been kind of a contentious point because people were like, why doesn't he just get on the plane? And sometimes the answer is because he's right next to a coffee shop, he's super thirsty, and there's no line at the coffee shop. And so he wants to grab a quick drink because it's extremely satisfying. And then he's going to head to... And so, yeah, I guess all is to say in some ways, I don't know how great airports are for like emergent behavior like that. And to get back to the question though, is I don't think water and electrical would be, I just don't think it adds anything overly fun to the game. I think it would be fairly tedious. And and the end result is basically the same as what you've got right now.
If you think about it, most like using this airport, you really don't have that much of water lines going. I mean, you only really have to go put them to toilets and maybe into the kitchen, and that's
Yeah,
it. And for
water
electrical,
I kind of like too for sprinkler potential.
yeah, maybe, but at that point you usually just place one line through the whole terminal. Like I literally just put the water line to the bathroom over here, and then pull one water line down the whole airport and put some sprinklers on them. And
Yeah,
with electrical, I think it's even less apparent, like because pretty much any wall can carry electrical stuff. So you pretty much it's pretty much as if you just placed walls over all the places you could.
yeah. The only benefit I ever saw, and so I've read into like what are the requirements. I've specifically read into the electrical requirements for airports, and one of the big draws on electricity at airports is the runway taxiway lighting, and that's probably less so the case these days with LED stuff, but there are strict requirements on how bright lights must be, distances, how far out you need approach lighting and all that kind of stuff. And because they have to be visible from at least 2 nautical miles, and you end up with fairly expensive uh, run costs. Or I looked into that a little bit a couple of years ago to see if it made sense as a cost. Because yeah, like you said, for water, you're gonna run water and electricity everywhere you have a wall, basically, and call it a day. The question to me is, what impact does it have on like ongoing gameplay once you set it up? If the answer is nothing, then why put in those extra steps? For electricity, I was intrigued because the answer may be that it's a cost, or you can make a deal or put solar panels on roofs. I found that intriguing. I don't know though. I don't know. Maybe I could be convinced. That's for sure.
So if any of you have great ideas regarding electricity and water lines, please post them over on the Steam forums.
What? So randomness extreme. After you finish SimAirport, what do you guys plan on doing next? And I also thought I saw somebody say something about 5 or 11 gaming TV is an approximate date when the full access with be released. I read that right. So we're going to transition to full release. It's imminent. It'll be in the next week or two. We're kind of waiting to make sure there's no massive bugs in this latest release, and then I'm of the opinion we can hit the button anytime. Basically, I feel the game is no longer early access in terms of playability, user experience, bugs. Knock on wood. Generally, I think it's a pretty darn solid experience, and so I feel like we can hit that button anytime. It's not super meaningful, I guess, to some extent. But yeah, that's the plan for timeline. It's imminent. It doesn't mean we're gonna stop working on stuff. Like, I've got a list of notes here as we stream for some stuff I want to change. But that's the plan, is to go ahead and transition to full release imminently, probably in the next 7 to 10 days. And then we'll still be streaming, and not a ton should change. The price will go up, TBD on how much. We're looking at releasing a supporters pack DLC, which would let you have your name on passengers put for everybody, similar to how a few other games have done. And the supporters pack is basically just a aesthetic thing, so it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. It's nothing you couldn't make yourself with mods. We're not going to put big content stuff behind, not core content stuff behind DLC. But that's the plan as far as release goes. So anybody watch on Steam, if you haven't picked the game up yet, it's a very, very good time, because the price will be going up very soon. And then what are our plans next? We're going to do one more game. That's as far ahead as I can see. And it's going to be the same genre game. We're going to probably announce what that game is pretty soon. And yeah, it's going to be a similar genre game, management tycoon style game. It's going to look visually a hell of a lot better. It's in full 3D, and we're going to have to start learning all over again how to render stuff in 3D, since we've been trained now how to render stuff in 2D very efficiently. Got to relearn all that stuff again in 3D. But that's the current plan. Not going to do SimAirport 2, although the thought has occurred to me SimAirport 3D, and not ruling that one out. But that's not going to be the next thing we work on. Maybe after that, though. But that's the general plan right now. And then, like I said, we'll continue to support SimAirport really as long as we can. It'll always be my baby. It's the game I wanted to play as a kid. That's why we made it. Unfortunately, I just got to face the business side of it. I can't continue to tweak on it and take out second mortgages to be able to afford to do so. So we'll kind of roll with the punches and see how it goes. But that's the overall strategy at the moment, as best I know it.
SD Omega over on YouTube asked, or said, sorry, I'm not up to date with the feature list. Do the passengers have forbidden stuff in the luggage at X-Ray? They have not. There is currently no such system. But seeing that we now have random events with fire, that's pretty much the next evolution of random events.
Yeah, so
like having stuff being detected at the X-ray and pucks having to get extra checks.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to the passenger life cycle being so short and airports being tough. The one problem is let's say we do detect a problem in somebody's suitcase, then what? How long can you hold that passenger up before it's going to piss you off that the passenger's not getting on his airplane? That's where I teeter-totter on what I think about that. One thought was to have FAA or regulatory agency people come and try to sneak contraband through to test your airport. And if they get through security with their fake bomb or their fake firearm or what have you, then your airport gets a penalty, a financial penalty, and if it happens, the more it happens, the more the airlines lose trust in you and lose interest. That's one thought I kind of had. I've got on random events in general. It kind of reminded me, and I wrote it down. That I played with this quite a while back. There are two other kind of along those lines I'd like to see. One is I'd like to see drunken agents. Basically, just agents that are frustrated and intoxicated. I'd like them to pretty much give off an aura of negativity around them, and probably require security to come over to calm the situation, something like that. The smuggling mechanic in Prison Architect is solid. See, that's the one benefit Prison Architect has there, though, is that Prison Architect has, you get a prisoner in and you have him forever or until he dies, and so they can take a 4-hour segment of time to do a sequence with that prisoner, or to do, to have him be searched or cuffed or put in solitary. In SimAirport, yeah, really all you can do is escort him out and take it away. And I don't want to. It's like I don't want to have a shooting rampage go on. So, what happens when you don't catch it? And that's where I start to be like, I don't know the answer, because I don't want bombs blown up, and I don't want shootings in the terminal. I've said that from the beginning. It's not like I'm a politically correct guy 90% of the time. I've said that from the beginning. I don't. They're young players. The guy that translated all of the game into Russian, I believe Russian. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. One of the languages. The kid is 12 years old. And I know these days games, it's totally different, but yeah. So that's the real question. And if you have a good answer for what happens when you don't catch the smuggling, I'd love to hear it, and really post it on, if you could post on the forums, but you're also welcome to share it here too. I don't know how to penalize you when stuff is missed. And that's where why my head goes towards a federal, a government agent comes and tests your airport, and then you get a financial penalty. Really, because beyond that, what happens if a guy smuggles drugs through your airport? I mean, it's not ideal, but how do we make that impact you as the player? I'm not sure. If you have a great answer, I'd love to hear it, though. The other thing, just keep in mind, it has to be a short sequence, too, because we either got to kick that guy out of the airport and not penalize you for it, so it's not a missed flight, or we need to search him and deem he's okay, and that has to happen rapidly so that he can get on the flight and not cause you to have delayed flights or miss passengers. Yeah, it's something. That's one of the biggest problems is the time frame. Like these sequences we're talking about here, we spent 5 minutes talking about it. In the game, it has to happen in like 4 seconds, and really in about 10 minutes of game time, which is not a whole lot when you consider distance. Yeah, it's all food for thought. Not against it by any means.
By the way, we may actually get to point 2 for a second on the updates list. Let's just get over the rest of the stuff we added this update a bit faster.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'll shut up.
So the big point is fire. We talked about it. We showed it to you. I can put some more fires on in the end, but for the moment that's gonna be dead. We added a gate closure setting. So what's that? You can research it. It's called gate control on the research. I could have researched it a bit earlier, so I could have shown you now. But in general, you have the operation control panel, and under gate control, you can now set the close time of a gate. And in simple terms, it's just saying it's a specified minutes before a plane departs, and if the time is reached, no new passengers are allowed to board the plane. Which means if the plane is full, it will just depart. Specifically, this is helpful for like remote gates. If you have remote gates that always are late, you can set the close time to like 5 or 10 minutes, and the bus will start rolling once the time is reached.
And the distinction here, because this has always driven me nuts. I think most people actually have gotten to understand this now, but the aircraft would never wait on a passenger unless the passenger was already in line. So what would happen is if you had passengers kind of streaming into the queue and they're all running late, then the airplane would wait because they're on their way from the queue to the aircraft or to the pickup to get on a bus, and so that could make your plane run late. If the passenger wasn't at the desk or in the queue for the desk, the plane should have never been waiting. But this resolves that. Basically, it means even if you're, and I've had this happen in real life, even if you're walking up to the ticket desk, they may shut the door on the plane. And I had this happen out of Minneapolis, and I was supposed to be sitting next to the gentleman I was going with. It was his bachelor party, and I texted him as I watched the plane push back.
Well, how did you end up late?
At the time I was I had a streak going. I missed 13 flights in a row.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this was 12 years ago now. I was traveling quite a bit for work and also to play poker. And yeah, I was constantly late. That day in particular, I want to say that I went to a bar. Yeah, I went to a bar, then I got on the train to get to the airport. And I was the last gate. G20 in Minneapolis. I think maybe G22. It's about a mile and a half walk though. And I always tried to time it. I hate sitting and waiting at an airport. As I've gotten older, I don't mind it too much. And even with kids, you can walk kids around everywhere in the airport, and keeps it pretty entertained.
Anyways, let's continue with the list.
Sorry.
No
yeah.
problem. We can do some more life stories at the end. We also added large and extra large remote gates in this update. We also fixed a lot of issues with them. There were a couple of which. So pretty straightforward. It's the same system as the small remote gates, just in large and extra large form. Pretty much the same gates you already know, just in big and with more bus space. We also added configurable tooltip delay, so whenever you want to have tooltips like passenger or retail worker or cash register, all that stuff to not come up instantly, you can now go to gameplay and set the tooltip delay to anything you want. If it's set to 0, it will just function as usual, so it will just instantly pop up. We added a system to have outdoor passenger relief and relax areas. How that's working is pretty simple. Previously, you had no way of getting passengers outside into the secure area. So you have two types of outside. You have the non-secure area outside. Passengers can just walk around in it freely. And you have the secure area outside. And passengers have avoided until now to go into the outside secure area. What you can now do is you can place a door at your terminal, and if you place sidewalk outside, like over here, you can actually have passengers go out and do activities. There's a couple of modded objects, but I think a couple of base game objects will work it outside too, and passengers can just do stuff out there.
Need a smoking area zone.
Chick actually made the smoking placeable already, which is just a phone charger remodeled. So it gives what does a phone charger do? I think boredom. So if you wanna have an outside area, you can go ahead and try out Chick's smoking station, smoking whatever. I don't know exactly what he called it, but just check it out on the workshop, and you can have some fun with the outside area.
So I'm not saying we got to do this, but I've been saying for probably about 2 years now that I'm dying to. I'm a smoker. I know it's terrible, but I've really freaking want smoking areas so bad. We have an object, an oxygen filtration system object air filtration system object, and we've had the sprites for it for probably 2 years and we haven't had it implemented yet. But I would really like to get smoking area in there as a zone. When I used Fly a lot, I would always try to connect through airports that had smoking areas. Hats off to Memphis, Vegas. There's a couple other East Coast ones.
Quark Games just came in asking what is new in this update. We just went through that.
Just missed it.
Perfectly. If you wanna get the summary of it, it's on the news post for this update on Steam. If you want to get the full length we talk over it version, you can probably watch this live stream back on YouTube.
Yeah,
and, that will
I think
tell
unless you rewind. There's a link to the notes. See, I come in handy for something every now and then.
A couple of questions over on Twitch. Customs for international flights has been requested, I think, pretty much every stream.
Yeah, so actually, I want to mention one other. So we were talking about, before you told me to shut up again. I'm kidding. The other event type that I wanted to see. So I said drunken. We have fire. One that I've always wanted is drunken. I've played with this a little bit. The other one that I'm kind of intrigued by, and I played with this at the same time, really, I had agents that affected other agents around them. And basically, it was kind of like an illness where if you got one agent that I had it set up at the time, the day I was playing with it, where if an agent got extremely frustrated, he would immediately frustrate everyone around him, 50% chance. So what would happen is you basically have an outbreak of frustration in the airport, which is actually kind of hilarious. but it makes me wonder. We could do, you could do like quarantine style stuff, like we've got going on in the real world right now. And the international stuff makes me think of that, the customs type stuff. Anyway, didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, I didn't really say much. That customs is one of the most requested features, I think, besides like cargo capabilities. It's definitely on the roadmap.
Yeah, I think it's right up there with cargo.
Yeah.
Both are.
I think I never actually went through customs, so I don't know how's the customs outbound.
So my perspective is probably going to be skewed because I've only been through customs in a couple of countries and then outbound in the U.S. And outbound in the U.S. is identical to going through security, basically.
So you don't have customs outbound?
Not that we went through a line. No, I think when I flew into the UK, we didn't do anything until we got there.
So just to get back to the point of passenger life cycles, outbound, I guess there usually isn't any, but inbound there's a lot of customs and there's a lot of stuff happening. But thinking about it, inbound there's a lot more time for the passengers to we can use with passengers, since they don't usually have to catch another flight.
That's a good and a bad thing, because then you start summing up the amount of passengers.
That's true. Yeah. So the more custom related flight you get, the more passengers you have in your terminal.
Which isn't a bad thing. It's just a matter of performance. And yeah, like at some point, would you rather have more flights, or would you rather micromanage or have more stuff you can do with smaller amounts of passengers or with the same number of passengers? And there's no one size fits all answer there. Yeah, I don't know. My only other issue with customs is it's similar to the outbound security contraband stuff. Is what does it do? So at the end of the day, is it just another security checkpoint for inbound passengers, or are you going to reject any of them? And if so, how does that play out?
And that's, by the way, that's the biggest problem for me. I have never been through customs, so pretty much all customs related stuff I've only gotten from TV.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through customs 10 or 15 times, but I've never been rejected by customs.
Also, by the way, customs technically is only the not the part where you get the visa, but technically only the part where you get searched, right?
No, to me it's that entire process. In fact,
yeah, most people use
the visa stamp is. The visa stamp.
Oh, by the way.
At the same time, I think.
Oh, look at that! Some passenger got really frustrated and burned this garbage bin. Completely randomly. I didn't do anything.
Are you sure?
Yes, I did. I didn't even touch my keyboard.
With a 94% rating too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, before we continue on customs, rating has been a bit more precise, I'd say now. So a slight discomfort is not gonna lower your rating anymore. Which means your overall rating for pretty much all airports will go up in this update. As you can see, this airport has around 49 100% rating instead of like, I think 85, 84. So reaching the high 90s is actually possible now. Similar thing for airline interest. Airline interest was previously calculated for all airlines, no matter if you have flights if you serve flights for them or not. With this update, you only have the interest of the airlines you actually serve. So
only for the top number though, which is really just a summarized number. Each airline was calculating it individually. Just the display number at the top of the screen was.
I think that may actually also feed back a little into the airlines themselves.
It does, I think. It used to. I'm not 100% after the
I think it still does, but mostly. So the biggest point is, I've got 2 airlines at 100% rating. That's both airlines with negotiations. So if you negotiate with a couple of airlines, it's now way better for you at your airport than having all of the flights spread over a bunch of airlines. And you can actually reach 100% rating on overall. To go back to customs, so technically customs is only like the checking of wares and stuff. And technically you have customs inside, at least inside the Schengen area. You can get checked for imported goods inside the Schengen area too. But what you at least usually mean, and most people I guess usually mean, is that customs also includes the checking, or if you have a visa, or in case of the visa waiver program, if you can get a visa shortly for the short trip. You know, you don't have to shut up all the time.
Well, hey, after fool me once. Actually, I'm taking a peek at the roadmap. I see that there had been some pings to update it. It is now updated. At least the stuff that some stuff was marked as on edge or not marked. I fixed that. And I was just taking a peek through. Sorry.
While you're talking about it, what do you see as the big next update?
Yeah, so, well...
I'd say we don't really have a plan currently.
Yeah, we
still got a couple of points which we wanted to get into this update but didn't. So probably those.
Yeah, and every time, usually during these streams, we end up kind of setting the objectives. I'm reading through this. I totally forgot about one of these. Mod Air's parking lot, make it eat cars and spin it back out and charge money. I think that's like a fantastic idea and pretty trivial to do. And it instantly gives you parking systems. And then I look over and basically the same thing is we have parking systems under the large, and it's actually the second highest voted thing. I don't think we don't have international on here. And I think we did at one point. The reason I removed it was, I think largely because I'm just not sure what changes very much with it. Like how much does it impact gameplay? And I know some stuff like that, there's different schools of thought. Some people want like this very realistic style, and we've always strived towards being realistic, but at the same time prioritize like game mechanic. Like if it's not fun, then who cares? I mean, I don't want to be. Yeah, at the end of the day, fun matters more than anything else. So it's a little tough in that regard. Because I'm not totally convinced it's going to make that much of a difference. I guess
Which point?
the international type stuff, parking systems I like because it's a I like it because it's like low risk. It's a very important system in real life. I mean, airports make a ton of money off of it. And I like it because it should be theoretically pretty easy to do. I guess in my mind, so yeah, I don't have any answer. Reason Bison said, when will planes crash? The answer is probably never. I don't really want to gotten this far without any craziness. At the most, we might do like I've always wanted to do go arounds. I've always wanted to do like some lower end, like uncontained engine failure on takeoff, that type of stuff, but probably not going to see an outright crash. Did you start that fire?
Nope. The moving walkway just started to get on fire.
You're not maintaining it?
It's at 80%, but there's a really, really low chance to break at that point.
I like it. Really, from what I'm seeing, it might even
And
be
this
high.
one,
I like it.
this fire is really, really dangerous because it's in underground and it goes up through both of the levels already. So it's pretty much affecting the whole airport. I should really put in some more staff doors because otherwise fire department can't really get into it.
See, I love this mechanic exactly for this reason, because it keeps it from being just purely self-driven, which is what the game has been forever, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But
this fire may actually be big enough to destroy stuff, by the way.
yeah, I suspect it may be as well. But
yeah,
see,
it already destroyed stuff.
It starts to gets your attention. I really like the mechanic. And this is the first time I've seen organic.
Oh no, the moving walkway died.
Create one.
Not my moving walkway.
Trash bags get put in the wrong spot?
Trash bag?
Yeah, what are the trash bags to the right of the walkway?
To the right of the walkway? Which one?
Yeah, on the underground floor.
To the right of the walkway? There's nothing.
Yeah. Oh, oh, sorry, it's plants. Sorry, I could tell you had a little panic going on there with the big fire breaking out. Where is it? Where are the fire trucks?
Above ground, over on the gate side. There's a bunch of firemen already in the fire, getting it off. But if a fire spreads big enough, it's just really, really deadly. And as you can see, there's a bunch of fire trucks already here. Yeah, even the COO, that's why the message is coming up. Even the COO has already been gone home. So you said Maybe fires are a bit too easy to put off, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I beg to differ. This one is breaking a lot of stuff. And this one is disrupting operations a lot. Like, they just put it off. And as you can see, the COO pretty much has no normal
yeah, he's done for.
office left. So this is gonna be funny for security. There's a bunch of passengers waiting. Interestingly enough, the southern security has not been disrupted. That one's still working. Actually, it has been disrupted. Yeah. Just it's getting back online already.
Yeah. And I
one-
mean, you have a ton of passengers that are going to be coming back in. A ton.
Yeah.
I really,
so
I
the
love
northern security is gonna go back up now. So there's gonna be a bunch of passengers now gonna run for security.
I wouldn't mind seeing it be harder though, because admittedly you took some action there though to improve the situation with the staff door, but yeah, I would. I got no problem with it burning down. The other thing that I didn't like with it is that right now, if you want to burn it down, and we talked about this on the stream last time with the old SimCity way back in the day, where I think it was an expansion pack or something, disasters expansion. I'm talking like SimCity 2004 or something, SimCity 4 maybe, or 3. Yeah, you could you could spawn meteors and stuff right on your city, and I don't, maybe it did maybe everything did dispatch automatically, but right now I had an extremely hard time putting, like, truly burning my airport down.
Probably an interesting idea for a mod, by the way. Just lowering the amount of trucks you get per burning cell. That's configurable too.
Is the and I should know this, probably I was looking at this a little bit, but the power or the speed with which each fireman acts on a cell, is that moddable?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the only part not moddable is how many firemen per truck come in, and at which point the first truck comes in. So the first truck always comes in after, I think, 3 cells or something. So at the first point it spreads out.
Yeah.
After that, the amount of trucks can be modded. How many per or how many cells must burn to get the next truck, and all the fire spread and how fast it heats up as a cell, and how quick it gets put out. That all of that stuff can be modded.
The other thing I thought that would be impactful for the fire is or that makes sense to me at least, is making the firemen themselves, making them move slower.
Slower?
Yeah, so
I
the way
made them faster because they should run, not like normal packs.
In real life, you'll never see a fireman run. It's extremely rare. Same thing with EMTs, medics. That's part of training, is you do stuff very methodically. It may be an emergency, but if you start panicking, you get problems. You'll rarely see a fireman run unless they're in legitimate danger. If anything, they're hauling a big ass hose with them, and they got to unwind it, and they got to methodically make sure that they don't kink it and get it to You know what I mean? So really what happens is they move fairly slow.
Yeah. I should really ask a colleague of mine, a friend of mine. He's in the voluntary fire department in a bit bigger one, and I could really ask how he's doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could probably find similar on YouTube, but that is most definitely my experience. Is that you rarely will you see paramedics arrive somewhere and they're not gonna be slow walking it, but they'll be a brisk pace at best, and firemen very much the same way. And like really, what it's to simulate is that they're pulling along a hose. I see 2006 ACO. It'd be nice to hear fire alarm sounds throughout the airport, maybe a fire alarm object. Yeah, I actually wrote something very similar. I didn't think about the audio. SimAirport has an issue with audio in that we use this AAA level, supposedly audio middleware, and I'll probably get hate for this, but it's a nightmare to work with. But we could probably get some audio tweaks. It drives me crazy because when we want to tweak some audio, it's usually a tiny little bit, and so we got to get somebody that knows this middleware to come on and do even tweaks or small additions. I agree, though. It needs. I'd like to hear a little bit of blaze sound around the fire, and I'd like to get fire alarms in that if you don't have them placed, basically that have a range, and if they're near the fire, they'll automatically call the fire truck. If they're not, then the fire truck won't come until you hit a button to summon the fire truck. And I'm fine with notifying the user. So like we could put a notice up or only make the button clickable when there is fire to call the fire department. But basically, I'd like to have it so that it's not automatic. You have to at least place down some kind of alarm system, and then I agree, audio for that would be freaking spot on. I mean, it's almost a necessity. I could even see it having settings to be able to, when one detects fire, should it make all the others beep and make the entire airport evacuate. Overall, I love the mechanic. Yeah, light flash. Although I guess I forget about sound sometimes because of this. Truly, this middleware has really been problematic for us. Like, it's wasted weeks of time because they've had crashes in it, and we probably never should have used it. Small of a. I think it's made for companies that have like a full-time sound engineer who can work a soundboard and stuff like that, and who probably have a couple full-time developers just devoted to audio. It makes me forget about audio. Audio adds a ton, though. Just hearing the sound of the fire as you zoom in on it, I would love for that. I'd love to see a flash and sound too. Like, it's a no-brainer. It just, yeah, I guess makes me feel like an idiot because obviously fire makes sound. And truly, it didn't even occur to me until you mentioned that. Even the whole time that I was working on making it render, and I was like inspecting it, and it's not perfect rendering, it's solid though, I think. It never even occurred to me though that should have audio, obviously.
I don't know about you, but I'm usually working without audio at all
Yes,
when working on the game.
that's true. Yeah, I put on meditation music. I actually have been trying out movie soundtracks lately. But yeah, I usually don't have my headphones on and have audio muted.
Yeah. In usual gameplay, audio is fine, but if you have to test the same scene over and over again, and have to hear the same sound all over the place while you want to concentrate, it's pretty annoying.
Oh yeah, driving nuts. I gotta say, I love the mechanic though. I think that we probably should have added it earlier. It's actually something that so earlier we were asked what are our plans next after SimAirport, and that's something that we're focusing on for the next game a ton. Is one, graphics. It needs to look like it was made in 2020. And two is I want it to be so SimAirport. I always said it should be like a fishbowl where you configure it, but you don't actually, you don't pluck the people around and actively intervene so much as set up the configuration for how intervention should occur. And for our next thing, I want it to be a little bit more event driven, event based, and part of it's just the airports, the short life cycle. They don't lend themselves well to intervention, and having 10,000 passengers doesn't either. Um, but I thoroughly like that was exciting to me just watching the fire burn your airport down, man. Meanwhile, he goes back to tweaking his schedule.
No, I'm not tweaking, just getting more flights in. I've got so much space, but don't use it, so may as well use it.
Okay, I'm gonna take 5 and smoke a cigarette, and we're probably gonna try to keep this a little shorter today. But yeah, if you guys have questions or anything, you guys can ask Joshua now, and I'll never know. But I will be right back, and we'll keep taking questions. Let us know if you're on Steam. This is Arthur, and we got Joshua here, developers of SimAirport. If you guys have questions, aren't sure whether you should buy it now or in 10 minutes, anything like that, let us know. I will be right back.
So chat, since we're now alone, I'm gonna use this wonderful moment to plug our my next stream. A couple of you are watching already know of the stream, but for everyone is I'm usually doing it on Saturday, but we did the combination stream, the update stream today, so I'll do one tomorrow. In general, I'm doing a weekly stream on the weekend on the same channels, so YouTube, SimAirport, Twitch, SimAirport, actually LV Game Dev, and the Steam page. And I'm just programming SimAirport modding features. So if you wanna have a look at how the game is developed, like actual programming, or maybe want to get into modding and just have some questions, just join us tomorrow, same time, same channel, and it may go on for a bit longer. I don't know yet, but usually do 2.5 hours too. Just chat and me. And yeah, Fiverr, smoking is bad for you. I don't. Only Arthur smokes. But yeah, if you don't smoke and think about it, just don't start. You'll be way happier in your whole of your life. And your lungs will be too. Also, drink some water instead of pretty much anything with sugar. And do some sports. You guys all can probably go out and do some more sports. Will it be possible to mod vehicles even if it's just changing colors? You can actually change the colors at this point of the base game vehicles. If you just export the base game graphic and recolor it, you can add it back as a mod texture. And if you name it the correct, if you name it the file correctly, it will override the existing vehicle texture. If you want to know which file you have to override, you can either join the Discord or just PM me, Yosha, over on whatever you like to use, and I can get you the texture list, which has the that texture name in it. Other than that, you probably could already add new vehicles, but it's really hard. Actually, you couldn't add new vehicles. You can definitely change the current graphics of current vehicles, but you can't currently add new ones. In general, we could add that, but the problem then at that point is, what would you like to add? And if we think about like, what could you add? If you want to add like catering or pushback or some other vehicles, then you have the problem that you can't integrate it into the current, into the already existing stuff. So you could technically add the pushback truck, but you couldn't integrate it with the plane actually getting pushed back. Yeah, as Motta said, there's already a pushback truck. I think there may actually be a catering truck too, but I'm not completely sure on that one. Both, like you said, have no news. Pretty much because it's pretty much the same reason as Arthur said about the passengers. Planes have limited time, and getting those out and getting those serviced is a problem too. You could definitely catering would be an interesting idea. Having kitchens, you could make a bigger kitchen, like one that is actually a kitchen serving plane catering. But then again, I don't know how good you could integrate it with the current airplanes, especially the short haul flights that only come down for 90 minutes. That would probably be too short for catering. underground vehicle depot, does this mod work in default mode of SimAirport? Probably pretty much all mods should work currently. Mods are usually made for Edge, and if they have an Edge, like a notice, this one only works on Edge. They all should now work on default too, since both are feature-wise. We didn't push anything new to Edge, so Edge and default are the same. That also is true from even my money giver mod. I didn't yet update the description. I still have to do so. It still states that you have to have Edge version of somewhere in January. But in general, if there's a version there and a date there, so January 20th, I think, and you have the newer version February 10th, 2020, then you're good to go. Also, just check out this the build time down here, and you should know which version you have. Q says I'm looking at Discord. I'm just there isn't really much more to say about it. So Q says over on Discord said you could just put the pushback vehicle onto each gate, and at every time the plane is driving out, you just push it back. But at that point, like, why? At that point, it really is only visual, and I don't think it doesn't really make sense to adjust the visual of it. It should be somewhat of a challenge or somewhat of a. It should have meaning, and if you just have the pushback truck applied on the gate, I don't know. It doesn't really seem like a meaningful new addition. No web chat. New security. New fire burning over here. Yeah, this fire is gonna destroy a bunch of stuff again. Oh, look at that, fire's already out. Oh, never mind, there's a second fire. This one seems a bit smaller, but I guess someone was so pissed off by the first fire that he had to throw something flammable into the garbage bin. And as you can see, a bunch of staff just using this part of the terminal that is not used to more or less evacuate, just run away from the fire. Staff will use staff-only area to evacuate. Packs will not use those areas.
And I'm back.
I guess you've seen a bit of the fire.
Yeah, I was watching. Got a little excited even.
Look at the big backlog of people trying to get through security. Bunch of missed flights, bunch of delayed flights. The fire itself may not be too hard to put out currently, but like the stuff coming afterwards, the aftermath of it is really bad.
Yeah, it's a lot more balanced than I gave it credit for after watching it. So this is the first I've really seen like gameplay with it. Prior to this, I was really just testing it repeatedly.
Like looking at the flight status, pretty much the whole terminal, the whole morning has been ruined. Multiple flights cancelled. A bunch of delayed flights.
Yeah, I think it's actually much more balanced than I give it credit for.
Also having to rebuild the areas takes some time.
Yeah, I heard the din of the. So I can't hear the gameplay sound. I could when I was away. The din of the construction that needs toned down when it's all in one area or something.
Ah yeah, by the way, for those playing with multiplayer monitors, I actually fixed the edge hover scrolling inbound only option. So you can now use it again.
Blacker Cracker, sorry, totally missed it. There's another question earlier I missed to come back to that. Blacker Cracker earlier asked, my question, and he's over on YouTube. My question, I've added some airlines. There's some airlines that I never use. Are you working on a way to remove airlines that you do not or will not use? And yeah, sorry, we didn't answer this directly, but it's funny. I saw this and I already wrote it down. What I wrote down is a way to hide airlines from the flight, from basically all in-game UIs. And then, so we can't let you delete them. That's been requested before, and I mean we could figure out a way to do it, but it doesn't make a lot of sense because we'd have to go look at all the old data and make sure that it was never involved and all this. But what you really are after is you don't want it cluttering your UI. You want to see the ones you are working with, and so we can basically give you a delete button, and then maybe somewhere in the settings we can show you the deleted airline. So if you wanted to make it show back up in the UI again for that save, you could, but otherwise we just hide it. Yeah, it had been requested before and I just kind of fell through the cracks. But when I saw your question earlier, I wrote it down as something like, to me, as a no-brainer, we should definitely do. So the answer is yes. We weren't actively working on it, but we will actively work on it. And your second question was, is there still plans for cargo? And the answer is, it's unchanged from what our answer was prior stream and the one prior to that. It's something we'd like to do. The logic isn't all that different from baggage logic. It's just a matter of basically having different routines for aircraft and just having a slightly different, like kind of profile for incoming and outgoing aircraft and when they can leave. Whether we get to it or not is kind of up in the air. I mean, that's the unfortunate reality. So, like, I'm a kid in a candy store here, and I saw the fire. I have a workstation set up outside, because I am a smoker. I know it's bad for my health. I know I need to quit. My wife tells me every day. And, I saw the fire, though. I'm a kid in a candy store, and it's like, extinguishers. Of course, that's a great idea. And I love the mechanic. I want to expand on the fire mechanic. I feel similar about cargo. I want to do it. The unfortunate reality is, at the end of the day, it has to be economically viable. And right now, the last few months we've been operating on SimAirport at a loss. And so that's kind of where we're at. Is we're going to transition to release. We're going to release this supporters pack DLC that we mentioned earlier, which is totally optional. It won't give you anything you can't make yourself on the mod store, and it gets you. It'll let you put your name in the game, and basically, my kind of commitment is that as long as it remains economically viable, I want to keep working on SimAirport. The truth is, I can't see into the future. I can't tell you what our sales will be tomorrow, much less 2 months from now. And Steam's algorithms have a lot to do with it. There's an algorithm change about 1.5 years ago that really kind of hurt us. Otherwise, they're about a year ago, year and a half ago, it looked like we might be able to continue working on SimAirport for indefinitely. And obviously that wasn't going to be the case, but it's just hard to say. But I'm a kid in a candy store. It's a game I wanted to make for me. And so we're going to add as much as we can. Doing cargo as a DLC, it's possible. Those of you that have listened to the stream before probably know I'm generally anti-DLC. I've literally never bought a single piece of DLC in my entire life. I've never done an in-app purchase. I've been thinking about it, and I was thinking about this just the other night, and I was like, when I grew up, there weren't DLCs, but what there was SimCity would get released every year as the next year's version, and you'd have game title 1, game title 2, game title. They'd just keep re-releasing it with the extra stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I want to add it though. I really want to.
Really interesting stuff like City Skylines is pretty much the predecessor, not the predecessor, the successor for any City Tycoon game, City Builder game.
Yeah.
And City Skylines is pretty much the perfect example on how to do this right, still continue working on the game.
I don't necessarily agree with doing it right that they do, but they do it.
Well, in this case, right is heavily opinionated and is hard to define, but from a business standpoint, they definitely do it right. They sell the DLCs and continue at the same time to build the game.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to give them credit too. It's allowed them to continue building the game. We're not as big as them, and I don't know if. Yeah, there's an internal battle going on within myself about how acceptable it is. I get it, and maybe that just makes me a bad businessman. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's the reality. Yeah, I was never on your channel on YouTube. Said City Skylines actually makes real good DLC and changing almost entire gameplay, not bringing in some stupid stuff again and again. For example, The Sims is doing. Yeah, that's true. Although I've actually looked at their DLC catalog pretty, like, quite thoroughly, and it is true in. It's majority true. There are some examples though of ones that are what I would call BS. Generally, the reviews though they show whether it's BS or not before you get that far.
Well, yeah, there's good and bad DLCs, and a couple of just not custom, like visual only stuff. But in general, which I really like, whenever City Skylines gets a big DLC, the base game is also getting a bunch of improvements.
Yeah. For at least for their major DLC releases.
Yeah, exactly.
There are some that are suspect, like that, and let's be honest, they have a lot of them, like a whole lot. Are your construction workers stuck?
No, they are waiting for stuff to arrive, and I'm just
Gotcha.
playing on 1x, and this part of the airport is on pretty much
The
the
other
other side
side.
of the world.
Gotcha.
I've still got agents having the flights missed. Probably still, yeah. This plane is like 5 hours late now.
So
Force departed.
Mod Air said it is okay to do cargo DLC, GA DLC, Metro DLC. Yeah. So the survey results, we took survey on this. We used to do we did a lot of surveys. And the most recent survey was asking for opinions about DLC. My opinions are like extremely conservative, and I think it's just that's how I grew up. Is in my time, I bought the stuff at the store. It's so different now the money in games is in free to play, and it's like, to me, that's absurd. The survey responses were very mixed. About 50% of people said they would rather buy aesthetic only DLC and have content be with the game. About 50% said the exact opposite, that they want lots of gameplay. And that drives with more what we've heard from the industry, is that people generally prefer more gameplay. The reason we're doing this supporters pack is because it is a aesthetic only, pretty much. And I feel like that's, given that people are 50-50 split on it, I feel like that's the most fair. Beyond that, I'm open to it. We may, to me, right now, the milestone right in front of us is transitioning to release, and then we'll see what the numbers do. If it's economically viable to add cargo without making it DLC, that's exactly what we'll do. Yeah, exactly. Jared Dillon, or Jared. Sorry if I got it wrong, but he said on YouTube, even before DLCs, we called them expansions. That's exactly right, and that's what I was thinking about the other day, is you either bought SimCity 2 or you bought SimCity the Disasters pack, and it was an expansion pack. You bought it in a box, and I've been thinking about that more and more the last month or two, or weeks even, maybe. And it's the same idea. I didn't love it back then either, though. I thought it was just yeah, I don't know. I probably got to just kind of get over it. But all that said, all that in mind, and regardless of where my opinion on it is kind of right now the milestone immediately in front of us is we got to get transition to full release, because if we don't do that, then putting a DLC out there looks bad. And going back to what I said earlier, I'm happy with where the game's at right now to go ahead and transition to full release. And then basically we'll see what the numbers look like. If we can support the cost of the development and the art, and then that's exactly what we'll do. Like, I would like to work on SimAirport for a few more years if we can. Basically as long as we can. I'm a kid in a candy store. That's the truth. It's just a matter of whether my wife is going to look at it and be like, you can't spend our family's money on this, or if she's going to be like, okay, we don't have to cut back on gas this week. You know, at the end of the day, it's a job, and so I'm expected to not only make a game I like, but also for it to be viable economically. So right now the plan is we'll get to full release. We're going to put out this aesthetic DLC pack, and then we'll just play it by ear. I can't predict sales for tomorrow, much less after release. If sales are poor or unchanged, then it's likely that cargo is something that we would have to do as a DLC. Even then, I'm not sure the economic viability of that. It's probably much better than it's probably viable. Again, though, this is the only game we've ever built and released, so my data set for it is very small. And I'm speaking very off the cuff. I'm no expert. If you are an expert and want to reach out and tell me how it's done, happy to talk with you about it. Love to hear ideas, opinions. If you've got data, I'd love to see it. It's a balancing act, though, and there's a speech by Tony Romo, his retirement speech, which I doubt he wrote, but I empathize with when he says there's this inner battle inside of you. It's a great speech for anyone who hasn't heard it, even though I doubt he wrote it. It's inspiring, and there's an inner battle going on inside of myself about DLC, how viable that is, how much I don't want to alienate the other tens of thousands of players that bought the game and feel cheated or anything. Yeah. So right now, though, basically the goal in front of us is get to the full release, and then we can kind of take a step back and look and see what's viable, what's not, and we'll continue adding as long as it stays viable.
You said you wanted to take it a bit shorter today, but a bit of talking later. It's 2 hours. We streamed for 2 hours now.
Yeah, well, is anybody surprised? I could sit and talk to myself for hours.
So I'd say let's call it a day for now. My airport is pretty much just breaking apart at the moment too, due to a fire in the entry hall. There's way too many packs trying to get tickets.
Yeah, I would say you might need more kiosks. Hey, Jared, shoot me an email, arthur@simairport.com. Let's chat. It goes for anybody. If you know some of this stuff better than we do, if you know how to render the hell out of something, or we're always up to chat. We've got our community is awesome. Like, sorry, Josh, I know we're wrapping it up. I gotta say, really, our community is so great. We've got a gentleman sent in an incredible document in the last couple weeks he works for a very well-known company, and his day job is basically planning out features and functionality. And he sent us this incredible document that, I mean, is what he does for his day job, basically. I mean, he's a very highly skilled. So we're always open to talking, like more than open to. We actively seek out people that are domain experts or that know more than us. I personally, that's what drives me, is learning, and I love failing at stuff and getting better at it. So yeah, always happy to chat, or would love to, with anybody that knows anything that we don't that would be helpful. Shoot us an email. Cool. Yeah, like Josh has said, we were gonna try to keep it a little shorter today, and we are now at 2 hours.
2 hours is pretty short for us. I think usually we do 3.
Yeah, we do tend to push it. It's fairly quiet though, and yeah, I'm ready. I want to jump into some code. Personally, I've got quite a list, maybe longer than I have been putting together. So if we don't have any other questions,
They
I was
actually
never on
travel
your
a lot to airports just to watch them. I don't. How about you?
I actually I used to, and when we were leading up to release and for the first year after, I went to an airport. I went to the Las Vegas McCarran Airport on more than one occasion to look around and to take pictures. And for the first about 2 years after release, every time my wife and I would travel somewhere, I would be constantly taking pictures. Like through security, I got some funny looks. The last time I went to an airport to do research type stuff like that, though, probably a year or two ago. But yeah, for a while, that first year, when I would go pick someone up at the airport or something, even I would actually park in short-term parking so that I could go in and look around a little bit. Usually I was trying to see something specific, like security was one that I was commonly trying to get a look at, and baggage claim stuff.
Okay, by the way, that may be point of interest in bigger airports, but like, you're saying you parked in short-term parking. Where do you usually park if you get someone from the airport?
You just drive around in circles. Or nowadays, many airports have cell phone lots where it's free. It's further away from the airport. Like, it's a half mile to a mile away from the airport. You go and park there until you get a call on your phone from the guy that says, okay, I'm on my way out to the pickup area.
I'm currently in Approach. You can actually use phones in Approach. It's really funny.
Yeah, but so here it depends. Really, it depends on where you're sitting, because and how old the person is. How old the person is that you're picking up. Because if you're in the back of the plane, it doesn't matter how early you text, because it's going to be 25 minutes before you get off the aircraft anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what it comes down to. But yeah, usually I circle around, because short-term parking here it's usually a minimum $6 charge. It may be up to $12 now. It's ridiculous though. I had to go pick up lost luggage at the airport about 4 months ago, and you get first 15 minutes are free. After that, it's $6 an hour or something. That was 16 minutes. I was so pissed.
Meanwhile, at our small airport over here, we've got a really small airport compared to pretty much anything, and even though it's still intercontinental. And there's it's like $2 for half an hour.
Yeah, I mean that's reasonable for sure. Yeah, I think that even the long-term parking here now is up to like there's an economy lot that's maybe 18, 16 bucks a day or something. But I think it's about 20, 22 now. I don't know. Yeah, it's extreme, especially in the time of Uber. Anyway, cool. Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. Always truly enjoy it. It won't be our last. We'll probably, I don't know, we may even stream for the release, which is going to be in the next week or so.
And like I said, when you went away, I used your you going away for my plug. I'm online pretty much. I'm streaming pretty much each weekend now.
Yeah.
Consistently. I will be streaming tomorrow, same time, same channel. So if anyone just wants to ask a couple of questions or see me programming SimAirport modding features, you can join me tomorrow or usually on Saturdays.
Yeah, he's been doing that every week, and you'll get the unfiltered version. You get to see him writing code and everything, and you don't have to put up with me in my monotone indecision. But yeah, we're not going anywhere. We're gonna have more for SimAirport, and yeah, it just matter how it goes for release, and then we're also gonna have another game for you too in the not too distant future, hopefully.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Thank you everybody for joining us. Always really enjoy it, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys next time too, and see you around the forum.
Have a nice evening, everyone. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Hope to see you tomorrow. If you are watching this back on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and like it. And I hope to see you next time, or next time with Arthur.
Yeah.
Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. See you later.